Impeccably observed by the supporters from France and Sweden as we prepare to get the final match in Group D underway here in Kiev. We'll keep you in touch, of course, from what happens in Donetsk between England and Ukraine. Remember, if the French equal or better England's result, then they will top Group D. They will play Italy in the quarter-finals, and the runners-up will face the defending champions Spain. So it's going to be France to get us underway, playing from right to left in the white shirts, the white shorts and the white socks. Nasri and Benzema inside the centre circle. Pedro Proença, the Portuguese referee, the man who was in charge of the Champions League final between Bayern Munich and Chelsea, is the official tonight, and he blows his whistle and the game is underway here in Kiev. The flashbulbs pop all around the arena, extremely hot and humid, and France know exactly what they have to do. Mexes with the ponytail gets his first touch just outside the penalty area, plays it square to Rami and then to Clichy, and the Manchester City defender has the ball on the far side, midway inside the French half of the field. I would think, as far as Laurent Blanc is concerned, you had an early goal, settle the nerves, control possession, and not overly exert yourself on a hot night like this.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily the way they play. What they do is they grab possession, control the game, and then as the game goes on, they grow and grow and grow. But they don't particularly start that quick. They just get hold of the ball like they've done here, control things, and then eventually they'll go looking for the goals, which they did in the second half against the Ukraine, where they got better and better, and in the end ended up toying with the co-hosts.
France, of course, drew with Italy 1-1 in the first match and then beat Ukraine 2-0 in the second. From a Sweden perspective, they were beaten in this stadium with two Shevchenko second half goals, 2-1 by Ukraine in their opener, and lost 3-2 to the late Danny Welbeck goal last time out. We certainly did, as Jans just said, see the best from France in the second half against Ukraine, but it was a pretty even contest in the first, although we can't read too much into that, bearing in mind we had that hour-long stoppage for the thunderstorm, so we'll wait and see. Here's Mellberg, playing tonight for the final time in a yellow shirt of Sweden, winning his 117th cap. Scored a goal against England, and now France have got the ball with Nasri. Sliding challenge from the man I was talking about, Mellberg, and then tidied up on the edge of the D by Jonas Olsen, who collided there with Samir Nasri, and the Manchester City player has gone down clutching his right ankle after a pretty hefty challenge by Olsen, and I think he's going to need some treatment. I think the good news is for France that Nasri is able to get back to his feet under his own steam and then move away.
Yeah, I think it's one of those challenges. He wins the ball and then he comes through the player, and I think it really hurt Nasri just after we had a foul on the halfway line. I think it was Diarra on Toivonen, free kick Sweden.
Eric Hamren's got the trademark waistcoat on. It's far too hot for that. Must be a fashion statement more than anything else, with a shirt and tie. Rami challenged on the edge of the French penalty area by Ibrahimovic, and the ball spins out of play for a throw into France on the left hand side. Not surprisingly, the game has started at a fairly low tempo. The players keen to conserve their energy in these hot, humid conditions here in Kiev. 2.5 minutes gone, 0-0. France throw on the left, which is taken by Clichy, headed up into the air by Olsen, and then forward towards the halfway line by Umvila. Now the ball is back in the possession of Sweden with Berami, and now Martin Olsen of Blackburn on the left hand side, crossed in towards Toivonen, heads it goalwards, Toivonen, and heads it just wide. He got between Mexes and Clichy, and the PSV Eindhoven striker was unchallenged as he heads that wide.
Yeah, from the moment he put that cross in, Olsen, the French defenders were in trouble, and you think, I know it's 9 yards out, but he's got to hit the target from there. Excellent chance for Sweden early on.
Mexes didn't even jump. Clichy was 3 or 4 yards away, and that was a promising position for Sweden with 3 minutes gone. Still 0-0 in the next, by the way, between England and Ukraine. Alistair Yeomans will keep us up to date with that match. And the ball is back with Isaacson away to our left hand side, approaching 100 caps for the Swedes. 96 he's got with this one tonight, and Sweden have the ball on the left hand side with Kallström forward to Ibrahimovic, and then Ibrahimovic to Olsen on the left hand side. He's going to try and get forward the left back, and this is neat and tidy from the Swedes as they burst away down the left and cross in towards Larsson. Larsson heads it goalwards and heads it straight at Loris. Twice they've got left-sided crosses into the penalty area, and twice they've got headers at goal, Jan Molby.
I think if there's any doubt about the motivation from the Swedes, I think we've seen exactly the opposite. They've started very well, again across from the left, this time Källström at the back post, Sebastian Larsson. That is a more difficult chance than the first we saw for Toivonen, but again, 2 crosses, twice the French have been all all over the place.
Wonder whether there'll be any sort of criticism for Erik Hamrén when he gets back home, bearing in mind Sweden were very organised and hard to beat when Lars Lagerbäck was the coach. Hamren's made them a bit more expansive. They scored goals in games, but they haven't been able to defend. Maybe he's got to get the balance right.
I don't know. I mean, his problem has been he's got so many players now that are good at going forward, that are good at creating. It's a problem they hadn't had in previous years, Sweden. But you've got Elm and Toivonen and Zlatan Ibrahimovic and other players, and at some stage you've got to be able to open up. When they've done that, the defenders haven't done their jobs.
Vastly more Swedes than French in the stadium, so when the French have got the ball, you can hear the boos and jeers from the Sweden supporters. Here's Ribéry, and then to Umvila on the right hand side. Really looking forward to seeing him tonight. Then it goes out to Debuchy, who's impressed in both games in the group so far. Then to Nasri, just outside the Sweden penalty area. And that's a really good ball by Nasri, out towards the far side. Crossed into the middle towards Benzema, and headed away by the very tall figure of Jonas Olsson at the near post. Picked up now by Nasri. Out to Umvila. Umvila moves in from the right-hand side. Little ball to Ben Arfa, just outside the area. Wriggles away from the first challenge and then loses the ball, but can win it back for the French and bring Clichy into play. Clichy forward to the left-hand side, and Benzema. Benzema buys himself some space and plays the ball through to the left side, and Ben Arfa hits the left foot shot on the turn and hits it well wide. Jan Molby.
Yeah, he's got ability. He's got real ability on the ball, Ben Arfa, but he's also got his moments where he does things that makes very little sense. And in that instance, I mean, what possesses him to shoot from that distance, I'm not too sure. Good play by Benzema, but I'm not sure. I think that's been the only problem they've had, the French, so far, is getting Benzema involved in games where he can influence games, i.e. scoring goals.
Yeah, looking at the respective teams, there's a distinct size advantage, isn't there, for Sweden? I think, along with Germany, they're the joint tallest team in the competition. And you would think if France are going to score, they're going to have to play through the Swedes rather than send balls into the penalty area, because Olsen and Mellberg are physically much more imposing than any attacking player that France can throw at them. And the Swedes have got a free kick on the left-hand side. They've already caused problems with crosses from that side of the field. And Sebastian Larsson is going to deliver this ball into the France penalty area with his right foot. So Mellberg's gone forward. He's been a real goal-scoring threat in the competition so far. Jonas Olsson is in there. The tall figure as well of Granqvist and Ibrahimovic and Toivonen. So a lot of people in yellow shirts who are over 6 feet tall for Larsson to pick out on the far side. The French players are lined up halfway line side of the Swedes, who at the moment are all stood offside. 5 of those in yellow are in an offside position. So here's the ball delivered by Larsson, headed away by the man at the near post, who was Umvila, back towards the halfway line, where it's picked up on this right hand side by the very experienced international Anders Svensson. 130th cap tonight for the Swedes. Plays it back to Martin Olsson, who's harassed straight away by Nasri. And then out to the free kick taker, Sebastian Larsson. And back to Andreas Isaksson away to the left-hand side. Isaksson clears. A flick header by Toivonen towards Ibrahimovic, who was beaten to the ball by Ribéry, two of the bigger names in European football. And then Diarra out towards the far side, and Ben Arfa. Ben Arfa 15 yards inside the Swedish half. Plays it over towards Benzema. Headed up into the air by Granqvist, not the best of headers, and then he slips over inside the box. Ribéry, tight angle, Ribéry shot beaten away by Isaksson. The only thing that was really against Frank Ribéry was the angle, after poor defending by Granqvist, presented the Bayern Munich player with a chance.
Well, we spoke about it often enough, haven't we? Inability to defend, and Granqvist there, I'm not sure what he was doing. First the header, he heads it back inside the penalty area, and then when he goes to clear to his left foot, he completely misses it. And as you rightly said, Ribéry, angle was the only thing against him. He gets it on target. Decent save, goalkeeper.
England 0, Ukraine 0. The latest score from Donetsk. Regular updates here on 5 Live Sports Extra from Alistair Yeomans. 0-0 here as well. 8 minutes gone. You just get the impression that France is starting to settle. Yeah,
as I said before, that's how they've started their games, haven't they? Maybe it took them a little bit long in the first game against England, but against Ukraine they got control early on and just controlled matters, and it was only a matter of time before they got their goals. They haven't quite been as comfortable this evening.
The only goal that France have conceded so far in the competition, the set-piece goal for England, Gerrard's ball in and Lescott's header. They were pretty good defensively against Ukraine in the previous match in Donetsk. And they've got the ball with Ribéry on this left-hand side. Now Benzema. You get the impression that France would really like to get Benzema started in the competition. They tried so hard to get him a goal against Ukraine without success. Here's Umvila. Another player that Laurent Blanc was keen to get into the starting 11. The injury to Gabay has made that happen for him tonight. Now Ben Arfa. Ben Arfa, left foot shot, lots of power, but always rising. It looks as though Ben Arfa's going to shoot on sight policy, Jan.
Yeah, but I think he feels he's been given an opportunity. You know, he's been out in the dark for a little while due to injuries and whatever. This is a real opportunity for him, and he's going to give it everything he's got, which includes plenty of dribbles, plenty of shots from distance.
Here's Nasri for France, and now Clichy. Little ball to Ribéry on the left-hand side. Ribéry double covered by Granqvist and Larson. Still got the ball, Ribéry. Back to Clichy, and then Nasri. Diarra available square, so Nasri gives him the ball. The former Liverpool youngster. Diarra playing his club football these days for Marseille. And this particular French attack breaks down, and Kallström can hit it long towards Toivonen, who's one-on-one here with Mexes, and he's got goal side of Mexes. Toivonen in on goal, around Loris, angle tight, hits the outside of the post and goes behind. There's the kind of mistake that Mexes can make, and Toivonen should have punished France.
Yeah, absolutely spot on, Darren. What he's thinking, Mexes, I'll never know. He doesn't have to go and try and win that header. All he has to do is just shield Toivonen, and there's no danger. He goes to try and win the ball, completely misses. What Toivonen is doing, I'm not sure either. He dribbles around the goalkeeper, but when he does that, the angle becomes impossible. There was a shot on first time, or even a pass inside for Ibrahimovic. Should have been 1-0 Sweden at least. They've had 3 good opportunities.
Toivonen's second touch, Jan, was almost a clearance, wasn't it? It went so far ahead of him.
And it gave him almost no opportunities to do anything other than what he did. It was a poor second touch, correct. But what Mexes was doing from a defending point of view baffles.
I've got to say, proves Jan Molby right. He's been saying in all the way through the tournament that Mexes frightens the life out of him, and we've just seen exactly why.
Well, there was no danger, was there?
No.
Yeah, I know he was left one-on-one, but all he's got to do is shield Toivonen, and Toivonen is going absolutely nowhere. Dives in, doesn't win the ball. Toivonen clean through, should have scored.
So 3 chances for Sweden, winless so far in the tournament and heading home in the opening 10.5 minutes of the match. Here come France now down the right with Debuchy. The right back who loves to get forward, gets away from Olsen. 2 to pick out in the middle, plays it back to Mvila with the volley, volleys it goalwards, hit it into the ground, and then the ball spins wide of Isaacson's left-hand post.
We've been discussing this game in great length over the last 48 hours, and my fear was that France is going to approach this like a testimonial, and I think that's the way they've started it.
And keeping my eye on the monitor as well from Donetsk, where Ukraine have started really impressively against England. They're pushing England back. We feared they might, Jan, didn't we, with these 2 wingers in the system that worked really well against the Swedish 4-4-2 in the match that we saw here. England are playing a similar shape tonight, and it could be an issue for Roy Hodgson as the game goes on.
It could be. The only thing I will say, Ukraine are very fragile.
And in Donetsk in particular, where the crowd can turn on them very quickly.
Well, I mean, they booed them off the pitch the other night, which was incredible thinking. You know, everybody knows they still have an opportunity. If they beat England, they go through to the quarterfinals.
12 minutes gone, 0-0 here. At the moment, the group would finish as it started, with France in first place and England in second. Although we've just seen a foul by Ibrahimovic on Clichy. I thought, if anything, Jan, that would go the other way.
Yeah, and you see the reaction from the Sweden fans. You can say whatever you want about Zlatan, but is he popular, or what unbelievable the popularity that man has in Sweden.
The good news for Swedish supporters is that Ibrahimovic has confirmed that he will be part of the World Cup qualification process. He tends to retire from international football about this stage of tournaments, but he's not this time.
When you're as big as important as him, that's what you're meant to do, isn't it?
Yeah. He's retired more times than Sugar Ray Leonard, hasn't he, Ibrahimovic? So here's Rami for France, 0-0, 12.5 minutes gone. You're listening to 5 Live Sports Extra on an extremely hot, humid and sticky night in Kiev. Still 0-0 in Donetsk between England and Ukraine. England have a corner. France in all white, playing from right to left. Sweden in the yellow shirts and the blue shorts. Here's Ben Arfa. They're playing tonight because Menez is only a sub, despite a really impressive performance against Ukraine. Nasri to Debuchy on the right-hand side, and then back to Samir Nasri, lifted into Benzema, edge of the penalty area right side, and that's nicked away from him by Olsen, and that's gone behind for a corner to France on the right.
Just lacks sharpness, the French. It's a little bit flick, no real tempo, no real movement. I think it suits the Swedes. The Swedes are really up for this one.
They are. France have a corner though on the right-hand side, and they've sent Mexes forward, Diarra forward as well, and Rami. It's in there towards Rami and headed away by the number 10 Ibrahimovic, and Debuchy will scamper towards the far touchline and retain the possession for France. Now Nasri poked in field towards Ribéry, sliding challenge on Ribéry by Larson, and now Birami's got the ball on the left hand side. Birami playing tonight for Rasmus Elm, and now here's the bearded figure of the veteran Mellberg inside the centre circle for Sweden, who are certainly not lacking confidence here despite 2 defeats in the group. Although the thing was, Jan, they played well in both matches, didn't they? They were just a bit fragile defensively. It wasn't as if they were handily beaten in either game.
No, and they've come out to play in their two games. It's been real end-to-end games. Just going through Barama, who's playing on the left, it's been a real problem for them, finding somebody who wants to play out on the left.
This is the danger when Ribéry picks up the ball in possession, but Benzema is stood in an offside position looking right along the line, the kind of thing that infuriates managers.
I just think Benzema looks like somebody who can't wait to get back to Real Madrid and get on with the next new season. And with the options that they have, I'm surprised with the change they made that they maybe didn't try something else up front, because he doesn't want to play in areas where you want goal scorers to play.
Well, he scored more goals in La Liga this season than even Zinedine Zidane was able to do in a single season for Real Madrid. 21 La Liga goals and 10 in the Champions League, but he looks a pale shadow when he pulls on the French shirt. He's not scored in a competitive game in the last 6 competitive games that France have played, and he's not really looked like scoring in either of the games so far, has he?
No, he hasn't, but as I said before, there's a simple reason for that. He spent no time whatsoever in the penalty area. He just plays as if he doesn't want to be in there.
England have just dodged a bullet against Ukraine. John Terry with a really important challenge inside the penalty area. Ukraine certainly giving as good as they get in the early moments in Donetsk. You can hear that game over on 5 Live. It's 0-0 at the moment. 15 minutes gone here, 0-0 as well. The better opportunities, though, have been created by Sweden. France coming forward. Played forward by Nasri towards Benzema. Intercepted by Mellberg. And played forward down the right-hand side by Granqvist. I certainly feel that Eric Hamren might sit down with Mellberg after this and say, do you really want to retire? Because he's played really well in the tournament.
He's played like a man possessed. I don't know whether he thought, this is my last tournament, I'm going to give it everything, but the last 5 minutes when they were getting beat 2-1 by the Ukraine, he was powering forward from the back, could have got himself a goal, was involved in both goals that Sweden scored against England, getting one himself, heavily involved in the other. I mean, he's had a super tournament, although defensively, there might be 1 or 2 question marks against
Benzema is onside on this left-hand side. Being covered by the man we're talking about, Mellberg. Nice interchange. Nasri played it back in, but Mellberg read it all the way and regains the possession on the right side for Sweden. He's still been Sweden's best defensive player at the age of 34. And he had a bit of luck with that late chance against Ukraine. And the goal that was given as an own goal by Glenn Johnson. He would be actually level with Mario Gomez for the golden boot at this stage, which seems bizarre, doesn't it?
Yeah, but he's probably had the most chances, hasn't he?
I would think so, yeah.
For the Swedes in this tournament so far. I mean, the one we talk about against the Ukraine, if he'd have scored that, it'd have been the worldie, wouldn't it?
It would, yeah,
where he tried
absolutely
to lift it over the goalkeeper. I mean, not even strikers I've got the skill to do that.
Conor Plianka's just had a shot that was heading for Joe Hart's goal, blocked inside the England penalty area in Donetsk. 17 minutes gone here, 0-0. Likewise in Donetsk between England and Ukraine, although England having to defend manfully. John Terry almost used an arm to block it, Jan, didn't he?
Looked the penalty to me.
Here's Clichy on the left-hand side for France, and now Ribéry. That's a really nice touch to take him away from Granqvist. Crossed into Benzema, hits it first time left-footed. Never looked like scoring, hits it well wide. But he's brilliant when he does that, isn't he, Franck Ribéry down the left-hand side?
Oh, he's got that ability, hasn't he? He just opens up his body, takes it in one movement past the defender. Have to say, Granqvist, that's another problem they've had, Sweden, trying to get a right-back. And he's not a right-back, he's a centre-half. Great cross in. Benzema again. I mean, it's a very difficult skill on the half volley with his left foot. As you rightly say, Darren, never going to go in that one.
It's a mismatch, though, isn't it? Ribéry against Granqvist.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Complete mismatch.
But they couldn't play the guy who started the first game, Lustig, because he was... Well,
do you know, he played in every qualifier, Lustig, and must have played better than that. I mean, he was awful, wasn't he, against Ukraine?
You would have thought so, wouldn't you?
Well, you'd like to think so.
Well, I think they played Turkey and Holland in the qualifiers, so they must have had some defending to do.
Yeah. You're listening to 5 Live Sports Extra in the heat of Kiev. Dark skies above the stadium now, but it's certainly not affected the temperature inside the arena. France 0, Sweden 0, 18 minutes gone. Free kick to the Swedes just outside the centre circle in the French half of the field for a foul by Diarra on Ibrahimovic. And Kallström is standing over the ball. England 0, Ukraine 0 is also the latest score in Donetsk. So at the moment it would be France against Italy in the quarter-finals, England against Spain, to go along with Portugal against the Czech Republic and Germany against Greece. You'll hear all of those games on 5 Live Sport. Here's Olsen inside the penalty area. Played back to Larson, who hits the volley, but it's always bending away from Hugo Lloris's goal.
Caught asleep again, the French. Quick free kick. Good run by Olsen. He decides then to head it back when I thought headed across, where Toivonen again was totally unmarked. I mean, in situations like that, the French have to liven up. They have to react quicker to things that are happening.
It's interesting, yeah, in the centre of that French midfield where they've got Diarra, Nasri and M'Vila, they've hardly been on the ball.
Yeah, but I think they've come to play, haven't they? They want to be in possession, they want to have a nice easy evening, and they haven't had that. The Swedes are pressing them, they're harassing them, they're not giving them a second to settle, and when they've got the ball, the Swedes, they get it forward very quick, they've got midfield runners, and it just doesn't look like the French are ready for this physical exertion.
Again, the respective technical areas contain lots of blue bottles of drink so the players can take on as much fluid as they possibly can during the course of the night to keep them replenished, as France try and build from the halfway line with young Jan M'Vila, the 21-year-old defensive midfield player being linked with Arsenal in the Premier League. And now Ben Arfa, who had a really good season for Newcastle, played forward up the right side towards Debuchy and cleared away by Barami and out for a throw into France on the far side. 0-0. France haven't reached the quarter-finals of a major tournament since the World Cup in 2006. And if they do top the group, of course, and play the Italians, it would be a repeat of the Euro 2000 final when David Trezeguet famously scored the golden goal to win the tournament for the defending world champions as they were then. Here's Ribéry for France into the penalty area. Didn't pick out Nasri, only found Melberg. And now Kallström's got the ball just outside the penalty area for Sweden. Little flick by Ibrahimovic, they like that. And then Ibrahimovic gets it back from Olsen on the left-hand side. Forward to Birami and now Svensson. It's really good play by Sweden. Ibrahimovic once more. Granqvist is in space on the right, but the tackle's been made and France have got it back, and it's with Ben Arfa to Nasri. Nasri turns straight into trouble and Sweden are able to clear.
He's in the mood for a bit of showboating, isn't he?
He is. Wants to turn it on, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And why not?
Well, he wants to give something back to the fans, I think. You can say many things about him, but he's a proud Swede. You know, people are talking up to this game, there's unrest in the camp. Believe me, there isn't. They totally accept the way he is. They know with him in the team, but of course we're talking about Ibrahimovic, with him in the team they have a much better chance.
Fantastic season for AC Milan, where he got 28 goals in Serie A, which made him the Coppencannonieri, as they call it over there, the top scorer, 5 in the Champions League as well. And he also scored in the first match of this competition against Ukraine, and the ability he showed that night should have given Sweden at least a point from the match, but they were unable to capitalise on the chances that he created. We've just seen a really good attempt by Devic in Donetsk. Ukraine certainly looking the better side against England, Jan, and they're having to soak up a bit of pressure, just like France are here against Sweden. So maybe there could be one or two twists and turns on the final day of Group D.
That's not unthinkable, but they had to do something, didn't the Ukrainians? They've obviously worked on getting the confidence up ready for this game. They're giving everything they got. It's just a question mark of what happens if they don't score, if they don't get the rewards, and how long can they last? Former
Danish international Jan Molby with us on 5 Live Sports Extra. France nil, Sweden nil. And Sweden in the yellow shirts are coming forward down the right-hand side with Andreas Granqvist, the Genoa defender, central defender by trade. He's certainly physically big enough to be a central defender, which makes it slightly problematic for him, dealing with the speed and agility of Ribéry on this left-hand side for France, who have got a throw-in at the moment on that left side. Clichy again preferred to Patrice Evra in the starting lineup. He's going to take the throw. And he gives it Benzema, who turns and finds Ribéry, with Svensson snapping at his ankles. A short pass infield to M'Vila, and now Debuchy in a bit of space on the right towards the halfway line. Forward to Ben Arfa. Ben Arfa plays the ball back to Jan M'Vila, and then M'Vila to Diarra. Diarra stood just about on the centre circle, and then Mexes to the left side, and Clichy, as France prepared to keep possession, just try and work their way through. And then Mexes hits the long diagonal pass out towards the far side. It's headed out of play by Martin Olsen, and that's going to be a throw to France on the right-hand side.
They've got a real problem in possession, the France, because as soon as they lose the ball to the Swedes, they drop back in. And because the French are not moving the ball quick enough, and the individuals on the right, Ben Arfa on the left, Ribéry, are not really getting the best of the fullback, so it's becoming a real problem for them to get through.
Steven Gerrard free kick. It just caused some problems for Piatov in the Ukraine goal. Rooney an inch away from getting a touch to the ball. Remains England 0, Ukraine 0. Not too sure about the haircut that Wayne Rooney's sporting tonight. He spent an awful lot to have the transplant, and he shaved it all off for some bizarre reason.
But I have nothing to say.
Nothing to say at all.
I just don't know what you're expecting me to say.
Hair's not Jan's strong point.
No, definitely not.
Not Jan's strong point. We've found that out during the course of the tournament. Anyway, it's Toivonen, and now Olsen to Birami on the right. 24 minutes gone, 0-0. Sweden creating the better chances, France enjoying more possession, and now Birami is adjudged to have fouled Debuchy on the far side, and the Portuguese referee gives France a free kick.
which the Swedish fans are not happy with. It's just one of those games, and I know we say it often, but this game is desperate for the goal.
Absolutely desperate for a goal. Ukraine have had 7 attempts on target. England yet to have one in Donetsk. 0-0 there and 0-0 here. Ribery in field, cleared away by Mellberg. Svensson to Kallström and then back to Jonas Olsson. And the West Bromwich Albion defender plays the ball out to Martin Olsson on the left-hand side. He'll be playing games in the Championship next season for Blackburn unless somebody buys him. Martin Olsson. Kallström's given the ball away. And Ribery pops up in a central position, was challenged from behind by Larsson. And that's going to be a free kick to France.
Sebastian Larsson, I think, has had a very average tournament. Expected more from him. Even his set-piece deliveries hasn't been great. And when he doesn't deliver from those, I think he brings very little.
Approaching 25 minutes here in the heat and humidity of Kiev. 0-0. And a free kick to the French, which has just been moved forward at least 5 yards by Rami, despite with the referee having his back to him, so he didn't know that. Surely too far out for a shot. It's at least 35 yards.
Well, the body is there.
Yep. Adil Rami. And Nasri is also there, and he's going to move away. Rami, the Valencia defender, is going to hit it and just waste it. Smashes the ball over the bar and it goes right down the tunnel at the left end of the Olympic Stadium here in Kiev. What a complete waste of time.
Yeah, but they've come in that mood, haven't they, the French? I know it's the second time I've said it, but they've come in that mood. Free kick from 30 yards. Yeah, you have a pop. I mean, he was never going to score from there.
Laurent Blanc was extremely...
I think he knows. I think he's looking at his players and thinking, you know, you're only playing at about 60% here. There's no sharpness. You know, the passing is too slow. I'm not saying he's worried, but I think he'd be slightly unhappy.
Wasn't afraid to criticise the team, was he, after the draw against England, where he felt they didn't play well at all. They played better that day than they're playing tonight. They've not really turned up as yet, France. It's still 0-0, 26 minutes gone. If England win, remember, and the French fail to beat Sweden, then England would avoid Spain in the quarter-finals and play an Italy team who haven't impressed us too much in the competition so far. And you would feel, Jan, that that's the safer route in the competition if you're going to go deep into the tournament.
Yeah, possibly. Although Spain are still having one or two problems.
Aren't they?
They've forgotten the most important thing in football: scoring goals.
Here's Benzema. Benzema, left foot shot, good challenge by Olsen just outside the D. The ball ricochets to Larsson. Infield it goes to the veteran Svensson, who played in the FA Cup final back in 2003 as a Southampton player against Arsenal. And now it's with Barami on the halfway line. Challenge comes in over there on the far side by Villa, and the ball's gone out for a throw to France on the right-hand side. Just seeing a chance coming in from Donetsk on the monitor. Still 0-0 between England and Ukraine. And it was a really good opportunity for Rooney with his head at the far post, Jan. And you said earlier that Toivonen's got to hit the target. Rooney also with the chance that we've just seen here on the monitor.
Yeah, I think if he'd have left that hair, he paid about 20 grand for it. He might have scored that one.
See, I knew you'd have a comment about the Barnet before long. Just a matter of time. Benzema heads it backwards towards Ribery, and the ball goes straight out of play. And I think Ribery's body language shows just how frustrated they are. Yeah.
But I also think in terms of how they are on the pitch at the moment, this is the best I've seen the Swedes. Seems to be a good balance to the way they're playing. They're not getting overrun at any stage, and even when they go forward, there's a good balance. Toivonen is doing better up front than Elmander and Rosenberg have done in the previous two games.
Wouldn't be an injustice at this stage of the match if the Swedes were ahead.
Should have been ahead.
0-0 though, 28 minutes played on 5 Live Sports Extra. Here's Diarra. You get a day off from the football tomorrow. It's a rest day, and then the quarter-finals start the day after with Portugal against the Czech Republic, followed by Germany, Greece, Spain against either England or France, and then Italy against the other one of those teams. Here's Ribery, caught from behind by Svensson, and that's going to be a free kick on this left side, the inside left channel you call it, for the French, about 15 yards outside the Swedish penalty area. And Samir Nasri, the Manchester City player, is going to swing the ball into the penalty area. So Diarra's gone forward, Rami's gone forward, and Mexes will go forward as well. The crowd's very quiet, and they're seeing nothing really, are they, to get them excited here?
No, not really, although the Swedes, I think, are kind of hell-bent on making a great atmosphere. They're trying in it, but the team is not quite delivering. If they'd have been 1-0 up, I'm sure it would have been a great atmosphere.
Nasri's ball into the danger area, comfortably headed away by Ibrahimovic, with the dark hair slicked back against his head and the ponytail tied behind him. And the ball is all the way back to Hugo Lloris in the blink of an eye. So 0-0. the final game of Group D at Euro 2012 on 5 Live Sports Extra. And the Lyon goalkeeper, the captain of France, Hugo Lloris, in possession. Away to our right-hand side, captained his country for the first time in the international victory against England. And he's kept the armband ever since. I think Laurent Blanc tried 5 different players before he settled on Hugo Lloris. Now, 1 or 2 captains in goal in this tournament. Just seeing another chance for Yarmolenko for Ukraine, and Joe Hart made a good save diving to his right-hand side. Ukraine certainly applying themselves better in the match against England than we saw them against France in Donetsk.
Yeah, they were poor. They lacked ideas. They had no energy. But they've started well against England.
Here's Mellberg. Midway inside the Swedish half. Little ball infield towards Svensson. And then Svensson out towards Berami. Only finds the chest of Debuchy. And then Mvila inside the centre circle. Mvila to Diarra. Forward then towards Benzema. Benzema plays the ball out intelligently to Debuchy. He's got a lot of room to exploit down the right for France. Towards the penalty area. Then plays it back to Samir Nasri. Nasri with the ball on his left foot to Ribéry just outside the D, and then played wider to Clichy. Clipped in, flicked away by Olsen, and out of play for a throw-in on the far side. Benzema was the target far post, but Olsen's much bigger and was able to win the header. Throw-in taken quickly to Karim Benzema. Benzema rides the challenge, flicks the ball into the area to Ribéry. Ribéry turns into Mellberg, picked up now by Debuchy by the corner flag and crossed in to no one in particular. Sums up the French first half display, easily claimed by Isaacson. Jan Molby.
Yeah, nobody wanted that cross though, did they? There was 3 men in the box, Ribéry, Nasri and Benzema. None of them were looking for the cross. They wanted the ball played into feet. I mean, it was impossible to play into their feet. But I just think before that, Ribéry ran into Mellberg, and I think that told you everything you need to know about the approach that the French have got here this evening. They just don't seem to fancy it.
I know it's early in the match, but I'm pretty sure the tall figure of Giroud must be in the mind of Laurent Blanc, because France have only got one way at the moment to cause any danger, and that's to pass their way through a very congested Swedish penalty area because of the size advantage of the defenders. Not playing at a particularly high tempo, France either. At 0-0 though at the moment with 14 minutes to play in the first half. And the ball is with Berami, midway inside the French half on the left-hand side. Now Martin Olsen. Olsen 3 or 4 yards in from the touchline. Plays it backwards to Kallström. And then to Jonas Olsen with the long hair. Infield to Svensson. It's neat and tidy from Sweden. And then the French defence backed off as Svensson carries it forward. Poor ball out towards Martin Olsen and slid out of play for a throw-in by Debuchy.
Yeah, I think they're getting away with it at the moment, the French, and that's only because the Swedes haven't got any better players than what they've got. If they've had a little bit more ability, they could have been in real trouble.
So far so good for England in Donetsk. A draw, of course, enough to get them through to the quarter-finals. 0-0 at the moment against Ukraine. At 0-0 here as well, though Sweden are coming forward. And in towards Toivonen, offside flag up. Lloris had to come out and clear with his foot. Toivonen, though, was stood in an offside position, and when the pass was played through, the flag went up quickly on this near side.
Yeah, I'm not sure that was the intention with the pass from Svensson. As he plays it in, it's the right decision. Flag is up straight away.
Just wonder, Jan, we've seen the French on the television against England, and we saw them in the flesh against Ukraine. You can make a case that Debuchy, the right back, has been their best player so far.
Yeah, you know, he's been excellent, and I'm sure there's a big move lurking for him. Where, I'm not too sure, but he's been very good.
Certainly would grace the Premier League, wouldn't he? Linked with the likes of Newcastle and Manchester United, among others. So Sweden 0, France 0, England 0, Ukraine 0. So Group D at the moment, as you were. French would be top, English would be second, and the Swedes
would be
and
last.
The Ukrainians, well, they wouldn't go home, would they, Ukraine, but they'd stay and not play any more football. Here's Mvila, lands awkwardly on his back as he wins the header above Toivonen. Kallström then wins it back for Sweden. Berami with the shaved head wriggles away from Diarra and then looks for an option down the right and finds one in the shape of Larsson. Poor pass. Larsson, though, goes through the feeble challenge of Clichy. Back heel to Berami. Promising for Sweden. Poor cross and stabbed out of play and behind for a corner by Mexes. I think it's in fact going to be a throw-in about a yard away from the corner flag to the Swedes.
Yeah, it just needed to be the other way around. It needed to be Larsson running onto that ball with his right foot. Unfortunately, it was Berami, who's a left footer, who came over with his right foot. There wasn't quite enough power.
Weak defending, wasn't it, again by the French?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Not good.
Here's Granqvist on the right. Sent a deep cross into Ibrahimovic, who controlled on his chest and rolled away from Debuchy. But the AC Milan striker then just stumbled a little bit, and Debussy was able to recover and clear towards halfway, where it's headed back by Kallström. Picked up by the blonde-haired figure of Toivonen, and then Larsen caught in possession by Benzema, and France can come forward down the left-hand side. Benzema on halfway. Ribéry to his left. In a more narrow position is Nasri. He's got the ball, finds Ribéry, and then back to Nasri. Nasri midway inside the Swedish half on this left-hand side. Pokes it back now to Ben Arfa, who started brightly, but we've hardly mentioned him. Then he hits a shot that dips just over the top of the bar. Isaacson was on the edge of the 6-yard box. Ben Arfa tried his luck, and that wasn't a million miles away.
No, it wasn't, but I think the big goalkeeper had it well under control. He just takes his arms away, or his hands away last minute, knows that's going over. But he looks the only one capable, Ben Arfa, of doing something unexpected.
Here's Ibrahimovic on the halfway line. Forward to Toivonen, 0-0, 10 minutes of the first half to play. Now Kallström. And now it's inside the centre circle with Svensson, who can cross the halfway line and feed Larsen in the central area. Now Granqvist to Ibrahimovic. Ibrahimovic will cross, that's blocked by Mexes, and that'll be a throw-in a couple of yards away from the corner flag on the right-hand side. It's been mostly Sweden.
Well, the best play, the most decisive play have been from the Swedes, and if anybody was in any doubt while they're here, I think they're showing us why they qualify for this tournament this evening.
Svensson gives the ball away to Clichy on the left. Clichy infield to Nasri, and Nasri then into the centre circle, and Hatem Ben Arfa. Ben Arfa's got Ribéry to his right. Instead he comes back into the centre, hits the pass towards Ribéry. It was deflected. Now it's with Benzema to Ribéry inside the box. There's nobody though in a white shirt in the middle. Benzema eventually got in there, but by then Ribéry had crossed it straight to Mellberg, and the Swedes had been able to clear. There's no desire to get players into the penalty area.
Lacklustre.
Absolutely. Here's Villa. And now Nasri. The French neat and tidy in possession, but there's absolutely no cutting edge at all.
No, and it's all taking too long. Every time Nasri gets the ball, it's 5 or 6 touches. Just move the ball to somebody else. There's never anyone in who's just about to get the ball, who's already on the move. Lacks real sharpness.
Real chance for England tonight to win Group D and avoid Spain. If they can beat Ukraine, it wouldn't surprise you at all with the way this match is going that the French would fail to beat Sweden. Might even lose the match here. The ball is with Benzema. Now it's with Ribéry. Ribéry, they back off the French in towards Benzema. Poor pass. Didn't pick out the Real Madrid striker, only finds Isaacson, the goalkeeper.
Now he's a real no-nonsense manager, isn't he, Laurent Blanc? And he's sorted this French squad out. I mean, we all remember what happened at the 2010 World Cup in South Africa. Since then he's done ever so well with them. I think he either needs to shake them up at half-time or even make 1 or 2 big decisions, to bring in players, because there's 1 or 2 players at the moment who are no better than what he showed at the 2010 World Cup. Nasri
tries to glide away, but just like often happens when they get into the Swedish half, they then run out of numbers. Nasri has now been caught in the challenge, and he's just signalled that he's injured the Manchester City player, and he's clutching his right knee, and it looks as though he just might have hyperextended it. It tries to bend the wrong way. He just seemed to clash knees, didn't he?
Yeah,
with the Swedish defender.
It's one committed player, isn't it?
Yeah.
Going against somebody who's not committed.
He got his foot planted in the ground when the collision came with Kallström, which is often when the problems come.
I don't know whether Nasri thinks he's going to dribble through the Swedish team at that pace. It's never going to happen, is it?
There is still a theory that France could go out tonight.
The way the game's gone.
Yeah. If they were beaten by more than 1 goal in this match, then the result in Donetsk could see the French go out. France can lose 1-0 and still qualify regardless of the outcome in Donetsk, but if they lose by more than that, then they're playing Russian roulette with their chances, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what we're seeing now is a real problem for the French.
Yeah.
Nasri's getting helped off the pitch, but as I said before, it's kind of the way they played the first half.
Well, the stretcher came on. Nasri is now going to leave the field under his own steam. Kallström's just checking that he's okay. I think Nasri has indicated that he is.
It was a strong challenge.
It was fair challenge.
Given. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
The Swedes, very sporting, then kicked the ball out when he was injured. I'm not a fan of that. The referee's got the whistle. If he wants to stop the game, he'll do so. If not, play on.
We saw a game early in the tournament, though, didn't we, where the referee stopped the game and then the player got straight up. The referees can't win, can they? The Portugal match, wasn't
Twice.
it? Yeah. Portugal-Denmark.
Pepe and the striker.
Postiga.
Yeah, held that.
2 names you wouldn't expect to associate that with.
No, that's absolutely right, yeah.
I can just let you all know that the player that's infuriated Jan Bolmy more than anybody else in this tournament is Pepe.
That's it.
And will continue to do so with Portugal in the quarter-finals. And growing in the tournament, Portugal, aren't they? They look to be a team getting better with every game. Ronaldo found his form against the Dutch.
which is important, isn't it?
It is.
It was the one thing missing from the Portuguese team was from Cristiano Ronaldo. And now he's come alive.
0-0 here. 6 minutes to play in the first half in Kiev. And Sweden coming forward inside the French half with Larsson. Källström now on the halfway line. Nasri's back on the field and still moving pretty gingerly on that right leg. He's just flexing his knee at the moment, and we'll just keep an eye on that and see whether he's going to be able to carry on or not. I noticed the French are without any substitutes warming up at the moment, so Laurent Blanc is certainly feeling that Nasri can play through it, but we'll have to wait and see.
You don't need to warm up in this weather.
I can vouch for that. Here's Mexes. As France come forward, he made that one glaring error early in this match that went unpunished by Toivonen. Long lump forward towards Ribéry, which is just about as good as it gets from France at the moment, and the ball rolls out of play for a throw into the Swedes. Here's Källström. Feel free to join in, at any time.
I was just having a look at Scott Parker trying his...
I'd be more concerned about this, just for now.
Sorry about that, but there isn't a lot happening.
Well, you're right, that's why I need a bit of help.
The only thing we're waiting for here is a Swedish goal.
Yeah, or half-time.
Half-time could help us.
Half-time, yeah. It can't be this bad in the second half, can it? No, you wouldn't think.
We need Laurent Blanc to get stuck into his team at half-time or make substitutions. They certainly need something.
You'd expect him to, as you say. He doesn't hang about. And this is certainly not the kind of performance he would have been expecting from his players. At the moment, it's not going to affect them because England is still level at 0-0 in Ukraine, so France would still win the group. So there's no need for major urgency right now. But of course, if they were to lose this match, then they could go out. And there have been enough chances for Sweden in the first half to suggest that that's distinctly possible.
I think that's the one thing he has to say to them at half-time. Come on, boys, we could have been one down here.
Yeah.
And it's a real uphill struggle, isn't it? Because they'll feel they'll have to win the match to make sure they finish top.
Here's Källström. Towards Granqvist on the right. Challenge comes in from Clichy. We've not really seen the French fullbacks get forward too much tonight. There was a feature of their play against Ukraine. Good skill by Ribéry, and now he accelerates from Mellberg. And Mellberg, though, recovered really well. He never gave it up, but then Ben Arfa takes over, and Mellberg again wins it back, I thought fairly. He can't believe the Portuguese referee's given a free kick, and nor can I.
It is a free kick.
Yeah.
For Sweden.
Yes.
He should have given it the other way.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a free kick from Mellberg.
Thought I'd missed something there.
No. Well, you do miss things sometimes.
I know.
But you didn't miss that one.
No. So France have got the free kick and they've taken it. Nasri to Diarra. And then Clichy.
Back
to Mexes. Yeah.
Square.
Here's Mexes inside the centre circle to M'Vila.
And even slower. Nasri now.
Yeah.
Touch. 4.
Here's Diarra, left edge of the centre circle to Benzema. They don't really need Benzema as deep as he is. Hits a right foot shot from 35 yards and hits it 10 yards wide of the right hand post. They're missing Cabaye, aren't they, in there? They've got two defensive midfield players in M'Vila and Diarra. Nasri's a bit of a lone ranger in there trying to make things happen. At least when Cabaye was on the pitch, they got two players who try and create in the middle.
But what he actually does is he passes very quick, doesn't he, Cabaye? He sets a tempo. People always say, well, how do you set a tempo in a match? More often than not, that will happen through quick passing. And Cabaye's pass selection are excellent, and they're missing that.
Goal kick away by Isaacson, flicked on by Toivonen. Clichy will play it back across his penalty area to Rami. And then Rami, the Valencia player just outside the D, will play it forward to M'Vila, midway inside the French half. And now Nasri, who's moving a little bit more freely than he was a few moments ago.
But he's also playing in the wrong areas, isn't he? He's the attacking midfield player, the playmaker. He's in the wrong area. Benzema is just not interested, so that gives you a real problem.
There's no balance, Jan, is there, at all?
No, there isn't. And again, you look, the French in possession, but look where the Swedes are. There's no space, there's nowhere to go.
Clichy to Ribéry. Certainly enough individual ability in the French side to unlock this Swedish defence, but not the way they're playing at the moment. Nasri inside the centre circle, 0-0. 2 minutes of the first half to play.
Look where Benzema is again.
Wide on the right.
Right back.
And then the pass forward towards Nasri is a gift. It's inviting for Martin Olsen. Nasri's pushed him over, free kick to Sweden. Yeah. No discipline at all. They've got to get the message to Benzema to actually play as a central striker.
I wouldn't hesitate. I would take him off. I don't think he's going to give him anything. and I'd give somebody else a chance, get some real life in there, somebody who wants to fight, somebody who wants to be in between the two centre-halves. Sweden's weakest point so far in this tournament has been the two centre-halves' inability to defend. But Benzema's never spent any time in between them. He's never been a threat in behind. It's comfortable.
They've only actually come to the tournament with two orthodox strikers, haven't they? Benzema and Giroud. Then they've got lots of...
But the other fella play where you you want your striker to play, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He can't drop deep. He doesn't get involved in the build-up play. He plays in between the centre-halves.
There's Olsen down the left-hand side. Sweden coming forward, 0-0. 0-0 in Donetsk as well between Ukraine and England. So France will win the group as it stands, and England will be the runners-up and face Spain in the quarter-finals. Here's Ribéry inside the centre circle to Benzema. Benzema allowed to turn. Ibrahimovic is the player who's going to track him, and now it's with Ribéry. Ribéry just outside the D with a shot deflected, and that's wide, and it's going to be a corner to France on the left. But he just saw daylight for the first time, did Ribéry, pulled the trigger, and a really important challenge came in the nick of time on the edge of the penalty area.
I just think as he comes inside, he goes to shoot, feints and goes on the outside, and then that man Mellberg comes back and gets a good block.
Half-time in Donetsk, England 0, Ukraine 0. And still we've got 30 seconds plus stoppage time to play in the first half here in Kiev. And France have got a corner on the left-hand side, which Nasri delivers into the centre, in towards Debuchy, headed towards Mexes, and then cleared away from the edge of the 6-yard box by Gramquist. Picked up now by Clichy, out to Mvila. A minute of injury time to play. Diarra's got it, stabbed away from him by Ibrahimovic. And then the Swedish defender Mellberg just wanted that ball more than Ribéry, and they can play it forward. Toivonen's offside. He was off and clear had the flag stayed down, but I think they got that right.
Absolutely spot on by the assistant referee. He's at least a yard offside.
Eric Hamren must be stood down there wondering why all of the games in Group D couldn't have gone this way.
Do you think he's been to Royal Ascot today?
Well, he's got the outfit on. He's only a top hat away. He's got the waistcoat with the nice lilac back, hasn't he? It's either Royal Ascot or a wedding. Not quite sure.
There was a wedding at our hotel.
Yes, there was.
Sami Nasri, I think that's the end of his match.
He's in big trouble, Sami Nasri, with that right knee, and that's going to be a problem going forward for the French. This could be a problem too. Larson, Ibrahimovic, Toivonen offside again. Toivonen, for the third time in the match, is adjudged to be offside. Went down theatrically inside the penalty area, but hadn't seen the flag go up. And France will come forward with Sami Nasri hobbling 10 yards inside the Swedish half. They'll have to make a change at half-time, France. And you wonder what the extent of that injury is to the right knee of Sami Nasri. Here's Ribéry to Ben Arfa. And there is the half-time whistle. And you wouldn't like to be a French player at the moment, because they're sure to feel the wrath of their coach, Laurent Blanc, because they've hardly got started in the first half. Sweden have had very good chances, good opportunities, promising positions, and they've looked the most likely to score, Jan Molby.
Yeah, they have indeed. But I feared this approach from the French. They've come expecting a testimonial match. They haven't got it. The Swedes are up for this one. They don't want to be going home without gaining any points. They should have been in front. They've had good opportunities. They look sharper, more decisive. The French are playing at a tempo that's never going to cause Sweden any problems. Now also they got an injury to one of their star players. They got another star player who's playing as if he doesn't want to be here. French have got a real problem.
We spoke about this over lunch today, and you actually called this. You said, I've got a real concern that France will turn up tonight and go through the motions, and this could be a night where Sweden get a win. There's no guarantee that France are going to get through. This could play into England's hands. You said all of this earlier, and it's exactly what's happened. I mean, they're so lethargic.
Yeah, they are. I mean, the only good thing from a French point of view is that they're playing Sweden, and Sweden is not a great team. Any other team could have possibly been 2 up. 2 great headers early on, the chance for Toivonen. They could have been out of sight. The Swedes are not that great. So what you got now, although Nasri probably won't come out for the second half, you still got an opportunity that if you can up your game, get a bit more sharpness in. And I think if the French can score first, I didn't think that the Swedes were real deflated. But as long as they're in the game, they'll give it a go, that's for sure.
The only real chances for France in the first half, an angled shot by Ribéry that was beaten away by Isaacson, and a dipping effort from Ben Arfa from outside the penalty area that went over the top of the bar. But the other end, as Jan mentioned, those 2 really good chances from headers early on, and some promising positions in and around the penalty area. I mean, the body language of the respective teams would suggest that France are the team who are going home after this.
Yeah, you would have thought so, wouldn't you? When you look at especially their star players. The players you're expecting to lift this, to go and win this game, haven't quite looked as up for us as some of the Swedes. We just see the stats. They might have had the ball more. The French, they might have had more shots, but only 2 on target. And as we keep saying, Sweden 4 efforts, but 3 of those have been really good opportunities.
I mean, they may well go through, they may well top the group, but you've got to play better than this if you're going to go deep into Euro 2012.
Yeah, and I just thought they would have progressed. They got better against Ukraine, and I think they would have continued that improvement here tonight. That hasn't been the case so far.
Well, I think the big question now in terms of the teams that are going through from this group is how far Italy can go in this competition. How far can they go? And what will they do? What will Prandelli do tactically? Because he's had the 3-5-2 in the first 2 matches, ended up as 2 1-1 draws, and he's gone with the 4 at the back here. I think another little significant thing is the fact that Italy lost Chiellini in this game, a really important player for them. And the injury, we'll find out a little later how badly hurt he is, but on the evidence that we saw here, you would probably say you'd be surprised if he were to appear in the quarter-final. So that's a big loss. But I do think that they have got goals. They've got the potential of goals. Di Natale, Balotelli, Cassano, Diamanti came on and was relatively bright in this game. They're such a tournament team, aren't they? And with the quality of players they've got, and an excellent goalkeeper, possibly the best goalkeeper of the tournament, that's something else we shouldn't overlook. As we've said virtually throughout my football watching life, let's not underestimate the Italian.
Well, that's John Murray, Conor McNamara, Colin Murray as well, reflecting on last night's matches between Spain and Croatia, and also Italy and the Republic of Ireland. Would you go along with that? Is Buffon the best goalkeeper in the tournament?
Very hard to say. I mean, I don't think there's been any goalkeeper that's been really outstanding. If you had to pick your goalkeeper of the tournament so far, I think that would be really difficult.
I think the interesting thing as well is they're not stereotypically Italian, are they, as a team? When you look at them, they seem to play a bit of a higher tempo than we're used to. They're not rock solid defensively as they've been in the past. Seem a bit more expressive than Italian teams that we've seen recently.
Very impressive in qualifying, plays a real open attacking football. They beat Russia 3-0 in a friendly not so long ago, where they were extremely impressive. But you always fear when you get to tournaments that they might become Italians again and play defensive. That hasn't been the case. The interesting bit here now is the fact that Nasri is back out.
Yeah, the French team have just made their way back onto the field. Laurent Blanc doesn't look particularly happy on the monitor, but he's had his say for 15 minutes. Nasri, who we didn't expect to see again, has come out. But just looking at the way he's walking, Jan, he doesn't look comfortable. He's looked straight down at the knee now he's got out there.
Yeah, he's still rubbing it, isn't he?
Yeah, it was noticeable as well that France didn't have any substitutes at all warming up during half-time. I can see down there now the number 15, Florent Malouda, just limbering up if Nasri can't continue. But I would have thought they'd have had someone out there at half-time in case Nasri said, look, we've tried again and I just can't do it.
Well, I mean, obviously he's going to try at the start of the second half, but I just think when you look at a player, he's now walking over, he's just walking around on his own, isn't thinking, I can't really be bothered with this. And the Swedes are not out yet, but here they come.
Here they come. Sweden with a better team.
They're making a substitution.
Yep, looks as though Wilhelmsson is going to be coming on, who impressed us when he came on as a sub in the first match against Ukraine. They're underway again in Donetsk between England and Ukraine, so we'll keep you updated with that as and when the goals go in. As Sweden come out, Wilhelmsson is among their number, so he is going to be coming on in the second half. It looks as though it's Barami, doesn't it? Can't see Barami, who started the match. So we're going to get Wilhelmsson for Barami. Barami didn't do an awful lot, did he, first half?
No, but he was in there to stop Debuchy going forward.
Yeah.
And I think the Swedes have now seen what the French, or what mood the French are in. They're thinking, we can win this.
So 0-0, Berami off, Wilhelmsson on. So this is the Swedish team. Isaksson the goalkeeper, Granqvist, Mellberg, Jonas Olsson and Martin Olsson. Then Larsson, Svensson, Kallström and Wilhelmsson, with Ibrahimovic supporting Toivonen. Yellow shirts, blue shorts, yellow socks for Sweden, who get the second half underway playing from right to left. France in all white have got Lloris in goal, Debuchy, Rami. In fact, I'll break off. Wilhelmsson in on goal, the flag's up. That was almost the dream start for the substitute. First touch of the ball almost had him clean through on goal.
What a great ball by the great man, though, wasn't it? Ibrahimovic. I mean, I know some people still question marks against him, but you can't doubt his ability. And it was one of those passes, where he gave the defenders the eyes, and it was a perfect pass. Unfortunate, Wilhelmsson just straight offside. But of course, he's going to give him a lot more pace going forward, Wilhelmsson. Yeah,
certainly much quicker than Barami. So Lloris, the goalkeeper. The French defenders, Debuchy, Rami, Mexes and Clichy. Then Diarra, Nasri and Mvila, Ribéry, Ben Arfa and Benzema. And the other surprise is that Benzema is still out there, because he was awful in the first half, and he's yet to make his mark on Euro 2012.
You almost get the impression that Laurent Blanc have said, OK, you got another 15 minutes, show me.
Well, Malouda is warming up with much more purpose now on this near side touchline, and every now and again Nasri turns and looks across at the bench. He doesn't look to me to be a player who wants to be out there.
He hasn't ran yet.
No.
He hasn't ran yet.
Rami almost caught in possession by Wilhelmsson, and the referee has spotted a foul, which seemed to be a fair challenge. The referee from Portugal refereed the champion. I found it was quite a high challenge by Wilhelmsson. In fact, he was like Bruce Lee when he came in, so we can see now. And there's been a goal in Donetsk. Wayne Rooney back from suspension and back with a goal. England leads Ukraine, so at the moment England would top Group D, avoid the Spanish, would play Italy in the quarter-finals, and France now know that they have to score, otherwise they'll have the Spanish world and European champions to play in the quarters. Let's get a report on that goal from Alistair Yeomans.
Steven Gerrard once again with the delivery, battled away down the right wing, got the cross in. Nobody got anything on it except Wayne Rooney at the far post and nodded in. England 1, Ukraine 0.
Thanks, Alistair. France have to equal or better England's result in Donetsk to top the group. At the moment, England have gone past them. They will top the group with 7 points. France will be second with 5, and England would play Italy. And that could be significant with regards to England's progress at Euro 2012. I'm sure that message is going to be relayed now from the French bench to the French players. And you would think, Jan, it might get a bit more urgency into the French play.
Well, if you're French, you'd hope so.
You'd hope so. So free kick to Sweden on this left-hand side. Larsson is over the ball. 10 yards in from the left-hand touchline. Mellberg's gone forward. All of the players clustered in a line 2 or 3 yards outside the French penalty area. Larsson, we know from the Premier League, has good delivery from this kind of position. And here it comes from Sebastian Larsson into the box. Mellberg offside. The French stood still. Jan Molby counted 4 of them in an offside position.
Just the 4 of them in offside position. Possibly even 5.
Maybe 5, yeah. When we see the replay. Here's Umvila to Ben Arthur. Nasri still limping around out there. He was the target. Was able to accelerate there, but didn't get the ball. It was intercepted by the Swedish defenders. Wilhelmsson is then caught from behind by Debussy. That's a free kick on the halfway line to Sweden. And it's been the same old story, Jan, to start the second half for France.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, the Swedes have probably started quicker in the second half than what they did in the first half. Because I think there's real belief in Sweden that they can possibly win this one.
Here's Ibrahimovic on the right side by the corner flag. He's got goal side for a moment of Jan Umvila. Just held up by the youngster from Rennes. Still got the ball though, the Swedish captain. Level with the edge of the penalty area towards Larsson, who then didn't read the intentions of Ibrahimovic, and he's given the ball to the pacey Ribéry, who can sprint over the halfway line. Only Benzema up with him. Ribéry flicks it infield instead to Ben Arfa, and then Ben Arfa plays a really poor ball towards Ribéry, who turns away in disgust and straight through to Isaacson.
Just don't look a team capable of doing anything at the moment, the French.
Laurent Blanc's got the spectacles on and the shirt and tie, and he looks like a disappointed school teacher, doesn't he, on the edge of that French technical area.
Yeah, I think he's just toying with the idea of what to do next. I mean, Malouda is warming up at the moment. He's got other options on the bench. There's another. Is that the big Giroud who's joined it down there for the warm-up? Difficult to see. It's definitely 2 of them warming up now.
Throw into France, on to Sweden rather on the right side. The ball's gone missing. The ball boy on the far side, he's just stood there with the ball in his hand. I'm not quite sure why.
He's having a little breather.
Maybe he doesn't understand what his role is. Gives it to Andreas Gramquist and then forward towards Toivonen. Ball intercepted by Nasri. First time we've seen him in possession. Benzema is onside. He looked offside to me. Flag stays down. Benzema with a curling shot. Yard wide of the left-hand post. Much better from Karim Benzema.
He came in from the left, cut inside the defender. Tried that curling shot into the bottom corner. A couple of yards wide. But probably the best we've seen of him in the whole tournament.
England 1, Ukraine 0. Wayne Rooney with a goal. Back from suspension. Back with a goal. So at the moment, England top Group D. France would qualify in second place. England would play Italy. France would play Spain. And the other quarter-finals will be Portugal, Czech Republic and Germany against Greece.
Who are Denmark playing?
They're on the plane home with you tomorrow. In fact, they're there already. Here's Mexes just outside the centre circle. for France, who haven't really showed much desire to increase the tempo and try and create opportunities. Ben Arfa to Nasri. Nasri, whenever he looks forward, Nasri, there's only Benzema and an awful lot of yellow Swedish shirted defenders.
Generally 4 or 5 yellow shirts around
one
Benzema.
Player. Yeah, here's Ribéry on the left. Ribéry's back heel to Clichy, 10 yards away from the corner flag on the left-hand side. And now Nasri to Ribéry. Only Benzema in the penalty area. And Ribéry, all he could do really is try and win the corner, and he's done that off Mellberg. And it's a French ball on the left-hand side. But when Ribéry looked up, he'd got to get the ball past 3 Swedish defenders to find the only Frenchman in the penalty area.
I think when Ribéry went down the left and he backheeled it back to Clichy, I think Clichy wanted to put that in first time. There was no one in the white shirt in there.
Short corner to Ribéry, and then back out to Nasri on the left side. Now it's with Ben Arfa. Ben Arfa 10 yards outside the box. And widens the angle, plays it square to Mvila. They're very narrow, aren't they, France? In towards Mexes. Hacked away by a Swedish defender, picked up by Martin Olsen, and side-footed out of play for a throw into France, 5 yards away from the corner flag on the right. Which
do you think they've had the word though, the French?
Well, they're slightly,
just slightly better, aren't they?
Ever so slightly, aren't they? Benzema tries to run through from the Ribéry layoff, cleared as far as Diarra.
And warming up with Malouda's menace, isn't it?
Yeah, at least they've got possession inside the Swedish half, which we didn't see very often in the first half. And then Diarra just hits it straight down the throat to the goalkeeper.
Yeah, 30 yards. That's going to take some effort to score from there.
So 0-0 here, 1-0 in Donetsk. That's the important scoreline. England at the moment topping Group D. Wayne Rooney with the goal. 0-0 here. Ibrahimovic lays the ball off to the right side, and Gramquist, who comes forward the right back inside French territory to the captain Ibrahimovic, floats the cross in towards Wilhelmsen on the left, who does really well to control it. Ball came over his shoulder and then wriggle away from Mattia Debuchy as well, and crosses 3 over back post. One of them's Larsen, beaten away by Loris. Really good save, but a really good strike as well from the angle by Sebastian Larsen.
Yeah, when he had to, he hasn't much to do, the goalkeeper. But it was a great volley on the half volley from Larsen. Great cross from Wilhelmsen, who did ever so well. Here they come again, the Swedes.
To Ibrahimovic with the volley, brilliant goal! Goal of the tournament from Zlatan Ibrahimovic on the volley. Fantastic strike, brilliant goal by Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He's one of the best in the business, and that's what he can do. Sweden 1, France 0, and we haven't seen a better goal at Euro 2012 than that. Brilliant.
Well, you had the feeling in the first half, didn't you? When the Swedes had their chances without scoring, if one of them falls to Ibrahimovic, you know what's going to happen. And as you rightly say, fantastic cross from Larsen. We know he can do that. And what a volley just outside the penalty area. Acrobatic. Oh, he's just inside in the bottom corner. No chance, goalkeeper. Fantastic goal. No more than the Swedes deserve.
Yeah, and talk to me about the technique that we've just seen from Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Fantastic. I mean, he knows the ball is coming. He's anticipating, but he knows he's got that in his repertoire. He was never in any doubt. He was up in the air on the half volley, smashed it into the bottom corner. Keeper nowhere near it. Fantastic goal.
Both feet off the ground. It's as good a volley as you're going to see, and it's the best goal of this competition by a significant margin. It was world-class finishing by a world-class player, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. When I think of volleys, you think about Mark Hughes and Hugo Sanchez and those kinds of people. That would have graced either of those two.
It's one of those controlled volleys, isn't it? But still, at full pelt, it's smashed into the bottom corner. We said in the first half he was up for showboating. He's produced a magic moment for those 20,000 Swedish fans.
Second goal of the tournament, and you've got to say, Jan, 55 gone. It's no more than Sweden deserved.
No,
they've been the team
not.
Trying to score a goal.
And just as you felt that the French might have got the message that England are winning, now it's a real uphill struggle for them.
It tightens England's grip on Group D, because an England win and a French defeat, I mean, of course, it also now opens up the prospect, if Sweden score again, that Ukraine could get through.
Yeah, absolutely. What they
and France could go out.
They need to score a goal, don't they? The Ukraine, to get himself a point to end up on 4.
Wow.
But don't look at teams capable of winning the tournament. A lot of people had them down as outsiders. I thought they played well in the second game against the Ukraine. They've been very poor this evening.
We weren't sure, were we, coming into it, whether Ukraine were really poor or France played really well. I think we've probably got our answer, haven't we, now, with the way this game's gone with 55 minutes on the clock. So 1-0 here to Sweden and 1-0 to England in Donetsk against Ukraine. A stunning, stunning strike by AC Milan's Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Now, how can France respond? Debussy down the right. Challenge comes in from Wilhelmsen, and that's a throw to the French midway inside the Swedish half of the field. The ball is with Ben Arfa. No Cabaye tonight, remember. I would wonder whether they might turn to Menez at some point. Here's a crossing by Clichy from the left. There's nobody in the middle. Absolutely no French player in there that could do anything with that cross.
I hate saying it, but Benzema is a disgrace.
He's been horrendous, hasn't he?
Absolutely shocking.
He showed no desire whatsoever to get into areas where he can hurt Sweden.
But he's played like that in the 2.5 games he's played so far. Very poor.
There's a forward pass towards Ibrahimovic on the left-hand side, who very cleverly used his strength to throw Debussy out of the way. Infield to Wilhelmsen. Here's Wilhelmsen's shot, saved by Loris. So close to 2-0 to Sweden. The French captain had to make a really important save from Wilhelmsen, who again is proving to be very impactful off the bench.
But again, it's the big man, isn't it? Every time he's involved, he creates space on the left, takes the ball down. The French defenders don't know what to do. Shall I go close? Shall I stand off him? He waits. Wilhelmsen with his pace makes a great run, dinks it into his path. Perfect pass. Great shot. Sweden well on top.
Karlström with the corner then from the left-hand side. 57 minutes gone. The French are goal down. Karlström whips the corner in. First to it to tip it over the bar was Loris after Mellberg got there. Mellberg again from a set piece creating problems, and it was a really good save by the Lyon goalkeeper.
Yeah, again, I mean, it's lazy from the French, but again, Mellberg shows that desire that the French don't. As you rightly say, Darren, that is a super save from the French goalkeeper.
Ibrahimovic would have been proud of the attempt. It was kind of a back heel
flip. It's almost a back heel from the centre half. Mellberg, what's going on? And Amrou, who looks like he's dipping into Royal Ascot, he's had a good day there as well. Yeah. He's really enjoying this.
I think he's had a few winners and he could be onto another one here. Malouda is ready to come on for France, and we'll see what the change is going to be. In the meantime, Larsson delivers the Swedish corner in towards Mellberg, headed away by Rami, hit goalwards by Wilhelmsen, helped on by Jonas Olsson. He knew nothing about that, and he's headed out of play by a French defender.
But when he gets involved, Ibrahimovic, you know, he maybe doesn't get involved as much as the Swedes would like, but when he's involved, pure magic.
He can win a game on his own, can't he? I mean, he's been sensational tonight.
He's so calm in possession, isn't he? He knows exactly what he wants to do. Possibly against England, he was a little bit too static, played a bit too slow, isn't it? But when he's in the mood, super player.
If the Swedes would have capitalised on the chances he created against Ukraine in the first match, then Sweden wouldn't be in the predicament they are now, facing an early exit despite a really good display. They've scored in all 3 games. The worry for Eric Hamren at this stage is, though, they've led in both games that they've lost.
The way they played today, though, for 58 minutes, probably looked the best team in the group. Yep. I know they're going home. They found their form too late. Here's the first substitution.
Yep, they're taking off Hatem Ben Arfa and sending on Florent Malouda. Not necessarily the change I was expecting yet.
No, I think you're right. But I think as far as Ben Arfa goes, we probably won't see him in the quarterfinals if the French make it. Just didn't do enough.
Here's Nasri. And now Benzema just outside the box with a right-footed shot, and that's over the top of the crossbar. But it takes some effort to score from there, doesn't it?
Yeah, and again, it's one of those, isn't it? You want him to take more responsibility, take the ball under control, find another pass to a teammate in a better position. Instead of that, he just shoots wild and aimlessly from 25 yards.
Ukraine have just missed a glorious opportunity to equalise against England. Cross floated in from the left-hand side. Milevski on the edge of the 6-yard box with Joe Hart to beat. Headed it over the bar. He was actually stood offside when it came in, but the flag didn't go up, and he should have scored, Jan.
It looks that way, doesn't it? That is a real good opportunity. And Scott Parker's got on the wrong side of the Ukrainian player.
An hour gone, though, in the final matches of Group D on 5 Live and 5 Live Sports Extra. England-Ukraine continues on 5 Live. Here it's Sweden 1, France 0, and England winning the group at the moment. A group that looked really tricky for them before a ball was kicked, and even trickier when they laboured to that 1-1 draw against the French in the opening match. Left it late against Sweden, and they lead against Ukraine tonight with a goal from Rooney. Significantly also, Sweden lead France, and that is tightening England's grip on the group. England would play Italy in the quarters, and the French would play the Spanish, which on this evidence would be a complete mismatch.
It looks that way, doesn't it? You have to think unbeaten, and before this game unbeaten in 20 odd games. They have to be better than what they're showing tonight.
Here comes Wilhelmsen running forward for Sweden, just outside the penalty area of France. His ball that was intended on the far side for Larsson is blocked by Mvila. One back though well by Granqvist above Ribéry. The referee spotted a foul.
The referee's having one.
Ukraine, have they equalised against England? We're waiting for a signal from the linesman. I think they've had one cleared off the line, have they?
It's a play on. Not in.
Not in. Now we might hear from Alistair Yeomans if we get the opportunity about that. We'd like to see the replay. It looked to me like an equaliser from this angle, but not given. So England still lead.
Way away though.
Yeah, by the routes that we've been travelling, at least 2 flights, Jan. Here's Malouda to Nasri, midway inside the Swedish half. Now he's pushing forward and prompting. Finds Diarra, and then out towards Clichy on the left. Nobody inside the Swedish penalty area. Surprise, surprise. Ribery to Benzema, and then hooked away towards the far side. Let's hear from Alistair Yeomans about that opportunity for Ukraine. Alistair.
Well, it was a great chance, and it's John Terry just looking at the replay again now. My goodness gracious me,
Alistair,
Darren. That has gone in, and England have got away with one then. The whole ball was across the line. John Terry did magnificently to get back, but my goodness, they've got away with that. No goal line technology here. It's still England 1, Ukraine 0.
Wow. Frank Lampard against Germany, anybody?
No, because now we have more officials.
And none of them saw it.
No, you have an official standing looking right across, and the fact that he can't see that baffles me. You didn't have those referees in 2010 yet?
No, well...
You do now.
Absolutely, and we've just seen that as Alistair was talking, we saw the same replay that he did, and that was not difficult to spot, Jan Molby, was it? That was clearly over the line.
Absolutely not. I mean, what do those 2 officials behind the goals actually do, or on the byline? Baffles me.
You think about it, Sweden get another goal, that could be the decision that costs Ukraine a place in the quarter-finals.
Not good enough.
So England still lead 1-0. Get the chance to look at that, because that should have been a goal for Ukraine. But they say things level themselves up in football, and Frank Lampard against Germany, so we're not complaining too much.
And what do the Ukrainians feel about that?
Well, absolutely.
I don't think they have any interest in Frank Lampard's goal in 2010.
Yeah, Nasri has just been clattered again, fairly. But he's gone down in an awful lot of pain. It was a really good challenge on him by Jonas Olsson, but he's clearly not fit to continue here.
It's the same thing we saw in the first half, though, isn't it?
We've just seen the clearance again by John Terry.
Committed Swedish player.
The referee that Jan's just been talking about, the extra official, is actually looking directly into that goal as well. I thought he might have been reading the programme or something at least. Wow.
Definitely wasn't doing his job. That's all that matters, isn't it?
Free kick to France
got him in shot now, haven't they?
Yeah. Free kick to France on the right. Malouda is over it. It's clearly over the line. Just seen it again. So Malouda over the free kick, couple of yards in from the right touchline. France need a goal. They're 1-0 down here. Ibrahimovic with that stunning volley. 2-man Swedish wall. Whipped in by Malouda, flat into the penalty area. Not cleared. Picked up now by Franck Ribery. Tried to cross, blocked by Olsson. And behind for a corner on this right-hand side to France, who are playing at a higher tempo now. Taken back to Nasri. Left foot shot by Nasri. Whistles wide of the right-hand post. Samir Nasri with a really good shot.
Yeah, whilst he worked a short corner, Malouda out to Nasri on his left foot, but he's always going away. That was never just going to creep inside. A couple of yards wide. Slightly better from the French. Still not enough, though.
Got to say, Jan, I was glancing at the monitor when the Ukraine were through, and to the naked eye it looked in, didn't it? Straight away.
Yeah, you've always got a feeling, haven't you, how close it is?
Yeah, it looked into me. Just where Terry was when he hooked it away. It'll be another one that they dissect and look at and talk about goal line technology, etc. Here's Ribery for France. And now Nasri. Overlapping Nasri is Debuchy. Nasri gives the ball to Debuchy on the right edge of the penalty area. His cross, though, comfortably blocked by Martin Olsson. And out for a throw-in level with the edge of the penalty area to France, who I think have got Giroud warming up down there, the big striker. Here's Diarra. And then Nexes on the halfway line. France are having the best spell for quite a while, dictating the tempo of the match. Into the penalty area to Benzema. Benzema away from Jonas Olsson. Still got the ball, Benzema. Ribery on his right, on his left foot. And that's a really good block just inside the penalty area by Kjellström, I think it was. That might have saved the goal.
Yeah, might have. And it just shows again the commitment from the Swedes. I mean, as that ball is played back to Ribery, 3 or 4 of them have thrown themselves in the way trying to block the shots. And I think that's hit Kjellström just where it hurts the most.
Yeah, he's tried to run it off, but he's gone down twice.
You don't run them off.
No. He's now Charlie Chaplin-like trotting back to the halfway line. He just needs a cane and a bowler, doesn't he? So 1-0 Sweden lead. A goal that would grace any match at this tournament, scored by Zlatan Ibrahimovic. And England lead as well. Wayne Rooney with the goal. Although they've had the lucky break, England, that they didn't get in Bloemfontein in the World Cup. 1-0 to England, 1-0 to Sweden. England topping Group D. France at the moment still qualifying in second place, but they know they can't afford to concede another goal, otherwise that really brings Ukraine back into things. Here's Ibrahimovic to Wilhelmsson just outside the box, tackled by Rami, and he can bring it away and find Ribéry on the left. He was just wrestled to the ground by Gramquist. That's the only thing he can do, I think, to stop him.
In England they call that rugby.
Yes, they would, wouldn't they? And in England they call that pass by Florent Malouda wretched.
Or rubbish.
Awful pass. He's so disappointed in France tonight, Jan.
You're not the only one.
No.
Big things
so
were expected.
Disappointed.
I just thought they would have continued that improvement they showed in the second game against Ukraine, but credit to the Swedes.
Ibrahimovic plays it forward, deflected out of play off a Frenchman, and with 23 minutes to play here in Kiev and Laurent Blanc growing unhappier by the minute, Sweden lead France by 1-0. And here's Wilhelmsson just offside, left edge of the penalty area. It'll be a free kick to France on this near side. They don't look like a team unbeaten in 23 matches, do they?
No, they don't, but the Swedes look like a group together, don't they? And it almost looks like they've said, listen, we lost the first 2 games in it, but let's at least show what we're capable of. And I think they've done exactly that in the first 67 and a bit minutes here.
It's certainly something to take into the World Cup qualifying campaign, isn't it, for Sweden?
I mean, they've got a fantastic qualifying record, haven't they?
They have, yep. And they've got a team that you feel is going to get better. Here's at Ribéry on the left-hand side. Running at Larson, he's got 3 yellow-shirted defenders with him. No support whatsoever. And in the end, by sheer weight of numbers, Sweden get the ball back. And then we see a heavy challenge by Mexes. And that's another yellow card. That's a second yellow card for Philippe Mexes in the group stage. I think I'm right in saying, though, Jan, they get wiped off for the quarter-finals.
No, they don't.
Is it the semi-finals they get wiped?
Well, what happens is if you got 1 yellow card going into the quarter-finals,
they wipe it.
They wipe it. But if you get 2 suspended, Mexes will miss the quarter-final.
So Mexes will miss the quarter-final. Laurent Blanc knows it.
But the Mexes we've seen tonight is the Mexes that I remember.
Yeah.
A blonde boom song.
Walcott is coming on for Milner in Donetsk with England leading 1-0. And Walcott can be such an impact player off the bench, can't he, late on in international matches with his pace. Mexes is going to miss the next match. That looked like handball in the penalty area by Debuchy. Wilhelmsson certainly appealed for the penalty. The Portuguese referee waves off those claims. Shevchenko has just come on for Ukraine as well. As Olsen defends from Nasri, plays it square to Isaacson, who has to hack the ball away in front of Florent Malouda. Helped on by Svensson. Then one in the air by Debuchy, but only through to Jonas Olsen. And now Martin Olsen. And then cleared as far as Rami on the halfway line for France. Diarra to Mvila. Mvila then to Benzema. Mvila's gone down off the ball. Benzema runs into the penalty area. Right foot shot deflected, took the pace off it, and it rolled through to the goalkeeper, Isaacson.
Yeah, he was always covered there. The big central defender, Jonas Olsen, stayed with Benzema. Svensson's tackle on Mvila. I think he might just get a yellow card for that one when the play stops.
So Mexes suspended for the quarter-final. Should France get there, they are doing at the moment a second place in Group D. England are going to win the group and play Italy. They lead 1-0 with a Wayne Rooney goal 3 minutes into the second half in Donetsk, although Ukraine have had a ball in the net, cleared away by Terry, but none of the officials spotted it and the goal wasn't given. And there is the yellow card that Jan Molby mentioned.
Yeah, well, I think deservedly so. He was too late. A challenge, but again, shows the commitment.
Yep, it does. 20 minutes to go. Anders Svensson misses the next match. Well, there isn't a next match.
Well, there will be eventually, but just not in this tournament.
Yeah, not in this tournament. So he will miss the first qualifier for the World Cup if he plays on. I mean, it's his 130th cap tonight, Anders Svensson. And you wonder whether he's got another campaign in him at the age of 35.
I think he'll be available for selection. I don't think he's going to throw in the towel the way he plays.
Here's Nasri inside the centre circle. There's still no real urgency about France. You might expect them to at least put another striker on the pitch. Here's Mexes running forward towards the halfway line. And now Nasri. Nasri in a central position inside Swedish territory now, out towards Debuchy. on the right-hand side. Debuchy back to Mvila, and then short and square to Nasri. Nasri runs forward and gives it to Benzema. Benzema then to Debuchy. They've worked the space well, France, into a crossing position. Olsen, though, for the umpteenth time, blocks the cross. Back to Mvila. Mvila, right foot shot, lots of power, and turned behind for a corner by Isaacson.
Just turning the screw to French, showing what they're capable of. Good pass for Debuchy. There's good power on that shot from distance. Always going to save that one, the keeper, though.
Just seeing some reaction from Oleg Blokhin, the Ukraine coach, on the monitor here, berating the official, the fourth official, for not awarding that goal for Ukraine. 18 minutes to go in Kiev. 1-0 Sweden lead. France corner on the right-hand side. And the ball is taken short, the corner taken short by Nasri to Malouda. And then to Nasri again on the angle of the penalty area. Square ball to Debuchy. Lots of congestion in that Swedish penalty area. Back it goes now to Clichy on the left-hand side. They're so narrow, aren't they, France?
Yeah, and you think with the wide men they have in their squad, you know, Ribéry, why doesn't he get on the touchline, get chalk on his boots and get to the byline and try and open up the Swedes?
Benzema's popped up as a left winger, then tried to play it to Mexes in the penalty area, playing as a centre forward.
Should have not been the other way
around. And inevitably it's been cleared away. Absolutely. Now it's with Ribéry on the left. Back to Clichy. Lots of frustration among the French supporters on the far side. There aren't many of them here, greatly outnumbered by the Swedes, but they're all sat down pretty glum-faced. Here's Florian Malouda of Chelsea, just outside the area, bends the ball, and that was effectively a back pass to Isaacson.
I think it sums their evening up for France. Started too slow, lack ideas, lack energy, and lack desire, and that's been a real surprise. You know, it was a perfect opportunity to avoid the Spanish in the quarter-finals, and they've just handed this match so far on a plate for the Swedes, who've shown all the things the French haven't.
Well, they're relying at the moment, France, on Ukraine to do them a favour, aren't they?
Yeah, they are indeed, yeah.
Just seen a really good save from Joe Hart as well in Donetsk. The chances keep coming for Ukraine. England has still got work to do. Ukraine are desperate to find a way into the quarter-finals of the championship. Poland, the other co-hosts, are out already. France at the moment clinging to second place in the group, but 1-0 down. Malouda running forward inside right channel to Debuchy on the right edge of the penalty area. Back to Malouda, rolls away from Källström, left foot shot over the bar.
Always rising over the bar, that one. It's the second time he's come in from the right. Malouda on his left foot.
Giroud's been warming up on the touchline for what appears like an age.
Maybe give him 15 minutes. There can be little doubt who's going to take off.
I think they've also got Jeremy Menez warming up as well, who played really well against Ukraine in the victory. At the moment, though, Sweden controlling things.
Is Nasri still been on, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the medical staff must have looked at him and said, look, there's no damage.
It's a knock, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's all it is, isn't it? But it can be sore, can't it? And he just looked in the first half like he didn't want to be out there for the second half, and that's how he's played in the second half.
I wonder whether Blanc's trying to prove a point yet.
Maybe, possibly. He's going, listen, the staff are telling me there's nothing wrong with you. It's a knock, run it off, get out there.
Yeah. And he's still out there, Samir Nasri. 16 minutes to go. Sweden 1, France 0. That screamer from Ibrahimovic. Oof. Given away by Malouda. One back by Nasri. Malouda, though, then feeble in the challenge. Wilhelmsson has it back for Sweden. And they play Wilhelmsson away down the left-hand side. He's goal side of Mathieu Debuchy. Left edge of the penalty area. The yellow shirts arrive in the middle. Wilhelmsson crosses. Ibrahimovic just half a yard ahead of him. And that's gone behind for a goal kick. He applauds the cross, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He knows he was so close to a second goal.
Yeah, he's one of those players, isn't he, Wilhelmsson? He came on in the first game against Ukraine, and you think, is he going to start against England? But everybody you speak to connected with the Swedish camp, they've kind of settled on the fact that he's an impact player off the bench.
Here's Mvila. And now Malouda. And Malouda out to the right side and Debuchy. And then to Nasri. They're finally going to make a change. Jeremy Menez, who scored in the previous victory against Ukraine, the Paris Saint-Germain wide player, is going to be coming on. Giroud can't be far behind him, surely.
You wouldn't have thought so, would you?
Here's Mvila in the meantime on the centre circle. Forward to Malouda on the left-hand side. Malouda forward to Clichy. Clichy square to Ribéry. Ribéry to Nasri. They're really good at passing to each other in short spaces, small spaces, short passes that are square, France, but they've got no cutting edge. There's no invention about them. Nasri, square again, this time to Mvila. And Vila pokes it forward to Nasri, and then to Benzema, and then to Ribéry, and then to Nasri. And Nasri rolls a challenge, has the ball at the byline, turns and can't find anyone to cross to. Faced by Olsen, hits the ball at Olsen's knee. And then the shot by Benzema is deflected by Kallström and behind for a corner.
They've defended really well, the Swedes. Unlike in their first 2 games, they've stopped crosses coming in, and when the crosses have come in, they've won their headers, cleared things. They're very comfortable. The keeper's made a couple of decent saves you expect a goalkeeper of his class to make.
Sweden are going to make another change as well. They're going to send on Pontus Wernbloom as Nasri delivers the corner towards Diarra, headed away by Toivonen. They're going to make a double change, Sweden. I can't see who the other player is. In fact, it's going to be the number 18, Samuel Holman. As France come forward, Nasri, right edge of the penalty area. Low ball in towards Mexes, and that's blocked by Mellberg. Returned inside the box from the right side by Ribéry, and behind for a goal kick. Good defending again by the veteran Olaf Mellberg.
Yeah, you have to give him credit again. Gets in, blocks the shot from Mexes.
It did strike the arm of Mellberg, but he could do nothing about it. It was ball to hand, not hand to ball.
And when the ball comes back out to Ribéry, again, I'm not sure what he tried to do.
No. So Nasri is the player to come off for Jeremy Menez, which we're not surprised about.
No, we're not. It was one real tough challenge in the first half by Kjellström on Nasri, knocked the stuffing out of him. That's affected the French the way they played.
So Eric Hamren, the Swedish coach, is going to make his final 2 changes of the tournament, bearing in mind he replaced Birami with Wilhelmsson at half-time. He's going to take off Toivonen for Pontus Wernbloom, who's much more of a defensive-minded player, isn't he, than Toivonen. So they're going to try and preserve what they've got, you would feel, at this stage, the Swedes.
And I think Zlatan is going to go up top, isn't he?
Yep.
As a lone striker. Toivonen has done well tonight. Not great in the first 2, but he's played well this evening.
And Anders Svensson, who's playing in his 5th tournament, 130th cap tonight, he makes way for Samuel Holman, who's a player full of stamina. He's another defensive-minded midfield player to try and shore things up for Sweden, who lead 1-0 with 12 minutes to play. France at the moment are going to finish second in the group. They'll play the Spanish in the quarter-finals, and England, who lead Ukraine, despite that bit of good fortune with the goal that should have been given that wasn't through Wayne Rooney. He scored the goal. England are going to win the group and play Italy, which is still not an easy match, but you know, if you look at the statistics, you would sooner play the Italians than the Spanish at the moment. Although we'll wait and see whether that
is the case,
bears out that way or not. In the meantime, here come France with Malouda. More urgency about them now. Franck Ribéry into the penalty area. Ribéry crowded out by a couple of defenders. Again, they appeal for a penalty, but he's not going to get that from there. And it's on the far side with Sebastian Larsson.
Spent a lot of time arguing and complaining and wanting decision to go their way.
Sweden have got the ball with Holman on the far side.
Big things we're expecting of Holman when he burst onto the scene, but since Hamren has been the manager, he hasn't been involved in a great deal.
Plays in Istanbul, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does indeed.
Club football, maybe out of sight, out of mind.
Could be.
For the Swedish
there will
coach.
be flights from Stockholm to Istanbul, I'm sure.
Yeah. If we were on them, via Kiev, of course.
An hour.
every flight in Ukraine goes via Kiev, doesn't it?
That's it. And it's an hour, exactly.
Every flight's an hour, every flight via Kiev. And none of the airports can you check in earlier than an hour and 20 minutes before your flight. Then there's a mad dash to get on it.
Well, the thing about the check-in, we couldn't even explain to the listeners what that's all about.
No, you couldn't.
You had to experience
it. It's bizarre, to say the least. But it's been fun.
We've had a great time.
Here's Larsson on the right. Sweden know a second goal would kill off the French with 10 minutes to play. Larsson crosses in towards Ibrahimovic. Rami heads away. That's stabbed away a little bit further by Jeremy Menez from the edge of the penalty area. Then there's a foul committed by Holman on Mvila, and it's a free kick to France midway inside their own half and a yellow card for the substitute.
Yeah, I think quick card that, wasn't he? He's only been on the pitch for less than a minute. In the book already. Mexes, remember, booked tonight, so he's going to miss the quarter-final. Should France get there, because there is still a scenario where France can be eliminated tonight. They've got the ball, a 1-0 defeat, and there's nothing Ukraine can do, so they would be through regardless with a 1-0 defeat, regardless of what happens in Donetsk. And that's what they're preserving at the moment with 9.5 minutes to go.
Malouda attacking down the left. He's looked into the middle, Jan. He can see there's no white shirt in the box, and he's still crossed it.
Yeah, but I think in the end, they look and they think, well, I can't keep not crossing it. It's a perfect ball. I have to cross it. You have to try harder to get there. Benzema, Menes on the right. Come on, boys, you have to try harder.
Giroud is going to come on. Ibrahimovic has fouled Rami on the edge of the French penalty area. Free kick taken, and the ball played out to Menes on the right-hand side, who made a lot of impact against Ukraine in the previous Group D match. Ball played square then by Mvila to Malouda, almost on the centre spot, and then played out to Clichy on the left-hand side. Clichy midway inside the Swedish half of the field to Menes. Giroud ready to come on the next time the game stops. The big 6'4" striker from Montpellier could be heading to Arsenal. Menes, and now Malouda to Menes, but he could have equalised. He hit it straight at the legs of Isaacson, who's able to kick it behind for a corner. Really good position for Menes, but he never really connected on the shot.
He didn't, but things happens, doesn't it, when he's on the field? It's his movement again, his pace. This time on his left foot, he scored with his left foot against the Ukraine. Doesn't quite hit as well as he would have liked.
Well, has he given a goal kick?
Yeah, strangely enough.
The French are actually Malouda.
The referee
is over by the corner flag with another ball ready to take the corner.
There's something the referee, the fifth official,
he's talking to the referee.
No, he's got his hand up the referee's back.
Now it's going to be a corner.
Everybody decides.
And Giroud is on for Mvila. So it's an attacking change by Laurent Blanc. He's made all three changes, and now the Swedes have got to get back into a defensive position. The French were convinced it was a corner, so was I, and that's now what's been given by the Portuguese officiating crew. So Malouda with the corner from the left-hand side, into the middle towards Giroud, who heads it wide. What an introduction that would have been for the substitute, and he knows he should have scored.
Yeah, no other way of saying that, Darren. Should have scored. What a great header. He comes on. Obviously the Swedes are not aware of who should have been picking him up. Probably didn't have time from the bench to give instructions. 7 yards out, right in front of the goal. Should have been 1-1.
Completely unmarked, wasn't he? Completely unmarked. Has to score from there.
No excuses.
No, had a really good goal scoring season for France. Montpellier won the championship. He got 21 goals, and that should have been the French equaliser for Olivier Giroud.
With his first touch. And you now got happy Benzema playing in midfield.
Yep. Well, that's where he's played all night, so
sulking his way through the match.
Yep. 7 minutes to go. Sweden 1, France 0. And England still lead Ukraine by a goal to nil in the next through Wayne Rooney. But they're being put under a bit of pressure by Ukraine, judging by what we've seen on the monitor. And Swedes have got a throw in 10 yards inside their own half on the right hand side. Clichy couldn't keep the ball in play. We're just seeing a shot of Giroud on the monitor here, and you can see by the disappointment on his face that he knows he should have scored.
Yeah, I think he knows, doesn't he? Probably won't get a better opportunity. France in this match.
Throw into Sweden then on the far side. Both coaches have made all three changes. Laurent Blanc won this competition as a player with the French in 2000. He can join Bertie Vogts as a man who's won the competition as a player and a coach, but if he's going to achieve that feat at Euro 2012, France will have to significantly up their game in the quarter-finals.
You feel they're potentially capable of it.
Yeah.
But it's all about attitude, isn't it?
Diarra's won the ball back for France, and now here's Benzema, played forward towards Giroud, stabbed away by Jonas Olsen. Now Giroud gets the ball on the right-hand side, played back to Debuchy. Lots more desire now from the team in white to get forward. Here's Menes, just outside the penalty area. Plays it square to Benzema. Benzema loses it easily to a combination of Vern Bloom and Kallström. And it's played out by Diarra to the left-hand side to Clichy. Crossed in towards Giroud, just too far in front of him. And that's going to roll out for a throw-in, in fact, a yard away from the corner flag on the left-hand side to Sweden.
Yeah, he's had his best game of the tournament so far, Kallström. Done ever so well in there for the majority of match alongside Svensson, and now he's the most advanced of the three midfield players.
With 5 minutes to go. Oxlade-Chamberlain's coming on for England. Wayne Rooney has done his job. He scored the goal. England lead 1-0. They're going to win the group, and they're going to play Italy in the quarter-finals. At the moment, with a 1-0 defeat, the French will qualify regardless, but they'll be second and they'll play Spain. The other quarter-finals, if you can't remember, are going to be the Czech Republic against Portugal. The Czech Republic winners of Group A, Portugal runners-up in Group B, and the runners-up in Group A, Greece, against Germany, who certainly look good enough to win the whole thing. Here's Malouda for France. 4 minutes to go. Given away by Malouda easily to Ibrahimovic inside the centre circle. And Ibrahimovic then toys with Diarra. Rolls it forward for Källström. And then Källström to the right side in Granqvist.
Just showing him who the daddy is.
Now Larsson to Ibrahimovic again. Short pass to Källström and then Ibrahimovic. And then Källström, left foot shot all along the ground and wide.
Again involved Ibrahimovic. Quick 1-2 with Källström. Should have done better. He's got a real rocket in that left foot.
Toys with the opposition at times, doesn't he, Ibrahimovic?
I just thought from the first minute he was in the mood for a bit of showboating. But still, you know, when he's possession, he hasn't had the ball an awful lot. But when he is involved, different class.
Here's Menez for France, 5 yards inside the Swedish half, out towards Clichy on the left-hand side. 3.5 minutes plus injury time to play. Sweden 1, France 0. England 1, Ukraine 0. And the ball is on the left-hand side with Ribéry, down the line to Clichy. Clichy crosses towards Benzema. Benzema controls, faced by Olsen. Benzema's shot took far too long to get the shot away, and Olsen slides in and blocks it.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what he wanted to achieve there. He just moved the ball, but Olsen was right in front of him. You can't shoot through a defender. I know it sounds like we're picking on him a bit in it, but big expectations from Benzema. He's a top player.
He play for Real Madrid,
and what he's delivered in the whole tournament has been way below what's acceptable.
Corner to France on the right then. Florent Malouda is going to take it. Deep one, left-footed towards Mexes, headed away from the edge of the 6-yard box by a Swedish defender and cleared as far as Menez. Now here's Debuchy. And then left-hand side to Clichy. Clichy ambles forward. Looks for a white shirt, finds one. Karim Benzema on the left-hand side. Benzema moves in from the touchline. Still going, gives it Diarra. It'll work its way back to Benzema, but he couldn't gather, and it's hit out of play by Larsson for a throw on the left to Sweden.
Just playing the clock down now. Sweden are under a little bit of pressure, although they're still relatively comfortable, but they're not playing a great deal themselves now. When they get the ball, they just hoof it forward, but they've earned the right.
Yes, they have.
With a wonder strike
from Ibrahimovic. 2 minutes to go.
The main man.
Yep. He doesn't deserve to be on the losing side tonight, that's for sure, Ibrahimovic. Flicked on by Diarra, but flicked out of play. Ribéry just turns away in disgust. He's done lots of that tonight, hasn't he, Frank Ribéry? His body language hasn't been particularly positive.
They've been poor, defence. And that's a real surprise. How many games unbeaten?
23 before tonight.
And you just give it away like this tonight?
Yep.
It'll take a long time to get back up to unbeaten in 23.
You've got to go back to September 2010 when they lost the first qualification match for Euro 2012 against Belarus.
But tonight it's been powder puff.
Yep. And they've given away a free kick now on the left-hand side. Debuchy with the foul on Wilhelmsson. And a free kick on the left, 5 or 6 yards in from the left-hand touchline. A chance to put some quality into the French penalty area. Melberg, with time winding down on his international career, will make his way forward. What an end this could be to an international career.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be some side at the end, won't it? 20,000 Swedes down in that corner, every one of them wearing a yellow shirt. I'm sure there'll be a tear or two.
England have 3 minutes of stoppage time to survive in Donetsk. They lead 1-0 through Rooney's second half goal. And France have got this free kick to defend on the edge of their penalty area. Free kick to be taken from 5 or 6 yards in from the touchline by Sebastian Larsson. The players lined up on the edge of the penalty area. It's delivered to the far post towards Ibrahimovic, and Loris makes a good judgment and a good catch and bolted out quickly to Rami on the left-hand side. 4 minutes of stoppage time to play here. And France have given the ball away very cheaply. And it's with Holman. And then back to Jonas Olsen. And now it's on the far side with Vernbloom, forward by Granqvist. Wilhelmsson's got the freedom of the park on the right, and he runs towards the penalty area. Wilhelmsson faced by Mexes, gets to the byline, delivers the cross, shot towards goal, bounces, hits the bar, and Sebastian Larsson smashes in a second goal for Sweden. They'll win their final game of the group. They'll end France's 23-match unbeaten run. It's Sweden 2, France 0.
But you know exactly what that means. That one goal in Donetsk that the Ukrainians scored that the officials didn't give. How controversial is that going to be? But again, Wilhelmsen down the right, dinks the ball to the far post. The first half volley into the ground, off the bar, back to Sepp Larsson. Good technical ability, smashes into the roof. 2-0, no more than Sweden deserves. They've had an opportunity here tonight to show that they're still the second best team in Scandinavia.
I think I'm right in saying, Jan, as well, that if Ukraine score now, France would be out.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so that they've still got time, and the Ukraine will be aware of that if they can score now, England would win the group and Ukraine would go through as well. The England fans know they've won the group. We can see them celebrating in Donetsk. The French might just dodge a bullet here. Forward comes Menez down the right-hand side. Sweden value for the 2-0 victory, or certainly the 2-0 lead, and they're coming forward again now with Kallström. This is going to be difficult, you know, for Blanc to pick his team up front.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. This is a hammer blow. This is a hammer blow.
And as Jan says, quite rightly, that goal line clearance by John Terry, where the ball was over the line, which should have been given, at the moment is going to cost Ukraine a place in the quarter-finals.
Yeah, absolutely.
And France are going to get through by virtue of that non-decision by the official a yard away from the goal, who was looking directly across the line.
Which you assume is the only job he has in a situation like that.
And to make the tease at half-time.
Well, yeah, but in that situation, he has one job.
Only job.
Look across the line, in or out. Now, I know he decided, or he thought...
Well, he didn't do anything.
No,
I watched him. It's finished in Donetsk. France are through, regardless of what happens here. England significantly have won Group D. They will play Italy in the quarter-final, and Andriy Shevchenko is literally manhandling the referee.
But he's seen it, hasn't he? Because he was on the bench when it happened. He knows.
Yeah, we'll get reaction to that. You can hear all about that on 5 Live, and you can analyse it later on Match of the Day as well. Roy Hodgson doesn't care because England are through. France are through as well. We've got 90 seconds of injury time to play here. And for the first time tonight, the French fans have actually got something to cheer, Jan.
Yeah, they have, yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, they will be aware, won't they, that they're going through. But they're looking at this team, aren't they? The French look like the Ukrainians did when they met in Donetsk. Totally demoralised. Nothing to give. Laurent Blanc on the bench is thinking 2010 all over again.
Yep.
I know they're in the quarter-finals, but he doesn't fancy going in against the Spanish. No. With this team, with this attitude, big problems.
It's a key word that Jan Bolby's used there, attitude. They've not been right in terms of attitude.
But it's
from the minute
always
the game
about
kicked
attitude
off.
with the French, isn't it?
Certainly don't lack for talent. Wilhelmsen is onside. Wilhelmsen's in on goal. Wilhelmsen can get a third if he wants to. Loris did really well. Wilhelmsen was trying to wait, I think, for Ibrahimovic, and that allowed the goalkeeper to smother it.
I think he won. That's the problem, isn't it? When the big man joins in, he wanted to cross it for Ibrahimovic. I don't think he felt comfortable either. That could have easily been the third goal.
John Terry is just having a word with Andriy Shevchenko, and I'm pretty sure Shevchenko has just asked Terry whether the ball was over the line, and the Chelsea captain was nodding his head. We'll hear all about that. 5 Live, get the reaction with the team. Mark Pugac, Chris Waddle, Graham Taylor, etc. And on Match of the Day later on as well. By my watch, we've played the 4 minutes of additional time here in Kiev. And it's going to be a victory to finish the tournament for the Swedes. The full-time whistle blows. Ibrahimovic with a stunning volley, the goal of the tournament so far. And a late second by Sebastian Larsson. A comfortable night, really, Jan Molby, for Sweden.
Yeah, it was, yeah. But you sense from the first minute the Swedes were up for this. They won their tackles, went forward. In the end, I think the French get away with only losing 2-0.
So England will play Italy in the quarter-finals. The French are through despite losing, and they've got a quarter-final showdown against the defending champions Spain. Full time here in Kiev. It's finished Sweden 2, France 0.